Welcome to the Not Okay with Gray podcast, where our intention is to empower men and women to change their mindsets about aging so they can make the rest of their lives the best of their lives. This podcast is designed to be a dose of high-octane motivation and inspiration that propels you to embrace the idea that you really aren't aging. What you're actually doing is evolving, and through your evolution, the longer you live, the better you become at living. Our goal is to empower you to create the life of your dreams because you're never too old to build a life that you love. We want you to build a life of joy, passion, and purpose, filled with inner peace, dynamic health, great relationships, and financial abundance. This is what it means by saying, I'm not okay with gray. So, if you're ready to begin the journey of transformation, which will lead you to authentic happiness, it's time to get started with your host, Coach Michael Taylor, the irrepressible optimist with a passion for the impossible.
Welcome to the Not Okay with Gray podcast, where we have real conversations for people who know there's more to life than just going through the motions. I'm Michael Taylor, Human Potential Architect, and today's conversation is one I've really been looking forward to because we're diving into a topic that every single one of us is navigating, whether we talk about it or not, and that's aging. But not from the usual perspective, not just the physical side of it, but the deeper question, what does it really mean to live well as we grow older? My guest today is Øivind Solheim, a Norwegian novelist, essayist, and former educator with more than 40 years of experience exploring what it means to be human through writing, reaction, and lived experience. He's the author of several novels, including The Man Who Stopped Aging, a powerful and philosophical story that challenges us to think differently about time, aging, and how we choose to live the years we're given. What I appreciate about Øivind's work is that it doesn't just tell stories. It invites us to slow down, reflect, and take a deeper look at our own lives, especially in a world that often encourages us to rush past the very moments that matter most. And if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you've reached a point in life where you're starting to ask different questions, not just what have I accomplished, but am I truly living? So today we're going to explore what it means to age consciously, to find meaning in the later chapters of life, and how to avoid drifting into a life that feels comfortable but unfulfilled. Because as you know, we're not okay with gray. So let's get into it. Hello, Øivind, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
All righty. So you spent more than 40 years as an educator and writer exploring what it means to be human. So looking back, how has your understanding of a meaningful life evolved over time?
Oh, that's a huge question. I will start with telling you about my debut novel that I wrote and published in 1978 because already then I started with questions like what is life, what is death, and the story in this book in Norwegian is called Stupa, the fall, we can say in English. It's about a young man who was approximately my age at that time, 31 years old, and he feared for his life. He felt he had something in his breast that did pain him. So he thought of cancer and such things. So that's the story I wrote when I was 31 years old about a young man who felt realistically or imagine he was ill. And I will not tell you how it went with him, but readers can find the book in Norway at least if they want to. And then now I am 78 and a half years old. I will be 79 in September. And the story about me writing The Man Who Stopped Aging is a story about how I try to touch the ground and find out where am I now. I retreated 10 years ago or 12, 13 years ago, and then I got much more time for reflection, for doing things that I love doing. And I love very much going outside in the nature in Norway, walking long hikes, several hours, all alone. And that's one of my favorite pastimes. And other things are taking photographs in nature, especially. And of course, writing, thinking and writing is my passion. So I think I was thinking when I retreated, now I am 60, soon 67 years old. I thought, what is left now? What do I do now? I knew from personal experience, life can be short or long. I had a brother who died at 42 from cancer. My father died in 1989, 74 years old. That's the average age in Norway at that time. And my mother died 3 years ago, 98 and a half years old. So I have experienced both short-lived relatives and a very long-lived relative. And my mother is for me something of an ideal, a person I looked very much up to because she has given me so much in my life in her
Understood.
quiet ways. So she has never said to me, you should write, you should be an author, for instance. But she has always said to me, you can manage this, you can do this, you're a good boy. So for me, that is something of the most basic in my values, is the human connection, the people who are near me and who
Understood.
I love and who love me and show it. So that's the foundation for my writing and my existence, I can say.
Okay. So
So
your book, The Man Who Stopped Aging, is such a
yes,
compelling title. So what
yeah.
inspired that idea, and what does stopping aging really mean in the context of your work?
The last question is a fundamental question. Uh, I wrote this book because I was thinking I love creating stories with the human, with people who act between each other. And then I found this idea of a man much older than I am now. He's 20 years older. And I imagined his life with the losses. He has have had several wives, one who he loved very much and lived much with, and who he lost, and then another woman who came after the first one, who he has also lost. So it's the story of human loss, of a man living closely and loving his dearest, and of how his life is when he has lost these persons in his life.
Mm.
And the thing is, I feel he feels life will go on. I will not give up. I will not stop now. I am in good health. William, that's his name. He thinks I'm in good health. I will go outside. I will make my hikes in nature alone if I have to, and I will live alone. Or if I meet someone, I will live with them also. But the most important for me is uh, as long as I don't have health issues, I can live longer.
Yes, understood. Now, so do you believe that aging is more of a physical reality or a psychological one?
Aging is physiological. issue, of course, but it's also, do you hear me now?
Yes.
It's also a mental one, because when we age, we can think, I'm very old now, so there is nothing left. Life has not much to give me. So that's a bad way to approach aging. And I've been thinking a lot lately of what would happen if I experienced to be seriously ill, like many people experience. How can they approach life with a positive attitude, even if there is a threat, a little threat to their lives?
Mm.
So that and the question of stopping aging, it's not about stopping the physical aging. Of course, we can also do things there. That is important, for instance, to have exercise, to go outside, to have a good nutrition, and to have social relations with the nearest people. That is also important, and that is in a way to stop aging in the sense that, as I think it, when you say I will live for a long time, I will persist. I will be here for myself and for what I owe to myself. It's a sort of a consciousness, a way of thinking that I think is basic and that can help people live longer, even if they have health issues or other problems.
Yeah, so
So that's
that
so
really
much.
aligns with,
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I said that really aligns with my whole philosophy.
Yeah,
When I wrote my book, I'm Not Okay with Gray, it was really about changing the mindset around aging. And that kind of sounds like what you're saying.
yes.
Yes. So there's growing research suggesting that happiness and fulfillment and even meaningful productivity can actually increase later in life. So why do you think
Mm.
society still tends to frame aging primarily as a time of decline?
I think it is more important than ever to do it, and I think that the period in life where I stop working for an employer and work for myself. It's the time where a period where I have increased liberty, freedom in my life, and I can do whatever I want with it, and I can organize my life. I can organize the way I live and evolve. And one of the most important aspects of human existence, in my opinion, is how we relate, how we think, how we build ourselves up emotionally in relation to a question of meaning of life.
Mm,
So I think that there's so much people can do, and I wonder, I can't understand many times all the bad things I see happen in the world. It's too large topic to touch here, but I am very preoccupied by what I see around me, and my life is not good if the world is not good.
yeah,
Then my life cannot be 100% good, because not because I suffer, but because there's so much suffering in the world. So I connect this a little to what we can do for other people and for ourselves.
absolutely. Now, what
So
I've noticed is that I think most people spend the first half of life chasing success.
yes,
And then the second half, we start searching for meaning. Has
yes,
has that been your experience?
Absolutely. And I'm experiencing also at my age, I am relatively old now. I experience much more clarity. I understand that things matter in other ways than they mattered before. Success is not so important to me now. I have written a book. I have spent several years on making this book known, but the sales are very low, and I am not sad about that. I accept this is how the world is built. There are so many new novels published every year, and I don't use a great budget to sell my book. So I accept my book is in the world, it exists, and we talk about it today. That's a great thing for me to experience.
Hmm.
But I think that success, it means nothing. I have enough from my pension to live well. We have a house together, my wife and I. We have children and grandchildren. We have uh, birthdays. We have new kids being born. It's so great to be alive. And
Mm.
I want to stay here forever. As I would say with my protagonist in The Man Who Stopped Aging, what if we could live until 100 or even 110? I know that's a way, something to say that is rather risky because I believe that when I am 20 years older than now, approaching 100, I think that I will feel many things different from now because now I don't have much pain in my body. I don't have much difficulties to move. I can move. I'm not a marathon runner, but I can walk for hours in the nature and I enjoy it. And when I approach 100, I believe I am aware of that I may be less enthusiastic about growing so old as 110, for instance, because that can give many bad experiences, health issues. So, but I think the most important for me is to be here and now and to look forward and experience that. And then I don't need more money. I don't need uh, success to be on the front page of this and that or to go viral on the internet.
Yeah.
I am now enjoying life where I am. That's the most important thing for me. Writing, imagining stories, people, and yes, that's a good life for me.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, in your experience, what's the biggest mistake people make as they enter the later stages of their life? What's the biggest mistake?
I think the biggest mistake might be to not to think I still live, I am still alive, I look forward. I'm I don't have the world, but I have something, and I will take care of what I have. I will try to develop myself personally. That's the most important project a human can have in younger age and also in later years. The most important project we can have it is to develop ourselves to be a fully human being. And we all know inside of us what is a fully human being. It's the person who gives and who receives and takes what comes. And we can say it in a way. I saw a poem once about this, and there were two sentences: falling and rising up again.
Mm.
These are two sentences that say something about the attitude toward life. And I think the most important thing we can do as young people and as old people is to develop our attitude toward ourselves and toward life. And I also agree totally that people must stop saying you're not good enough. You must say, I am who I am, and I stand for that. I'm good enough. And what I have noticed the recent years is that I am not as vulnerable as I was as a younger person. Then I looked behind me and I thought, what are they saying about me? What are they thinking about me? Now I don't fear anything like that. So that's why I dare publish a book in English, because I thought at that moment, some years ago, I decided to publish in English also, and not only in Norwegian, because I realized there are so many people who understand and can read English. So that was my decision in 2018, I think. I wrote articles about it on the Medium. And that is why I'm not afraid. I think the worst feeling humans have today is fear that prevents them from being who they can be.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So on this podcast, I talk about what I call gray living, which is just going through the motions instead of truly engaging with life. So how do people avoid drifting into that gray living stage where they're just, just going through the motions and not really feeling fulfilled?
I'm not sure about. Can you develop this a little more? Because I'm not sure I captivated.
So how do you challenge people to not live a boring gray life? What do you suggest that people do so that their lives isn't so boring?
They stand up. You must stand up and you must say to yourself, life is great. There are so many things. There are so much beautiful in the world. There are so many beautiful human beings. There are so many things you can do that can fill your life. Start with something small. Start with something that interests you. Find your hobby. Someone said one day, your hobby is writing. Oh, is it? I said, but yes, I realized, yes, it's my hobby. I recognize I have a hobby, a very important hobby, writing, being interested in people, photographing, nature, etc. So start with something you like and tell yourself you are the most important person in the universe because you are you. That's the same for everyone. We are all that person, and we must act accordingly.
Mm, mm,
That's another side of it. The responsibility we have as human beings. We are human beings who are moral persons. We know values. We know what values are. They are not everyone who take care of or remembers or seem to respect values we know, but that's another great big history is how we can influence people who strive with that part of existence.
yeah.
I think if people can have a positive look on themselves without being narcissistic, of course, they can tell themselves that I am an important person in my life, and that's the same for other people. Everyone has something to contribute with in life, and in existence. So I'm not a religious person, and therefore as I mentioned, Einstein, I thought of him always as a religious person, but then I read an article of by Thomas Oppong, who says he was not a religious person, Einstein. He is a person who is very living very actively in his consciousness, or he was living actively as a conscious person, and he had the ability to wonder, to say, what is this? How is this? And that's a way of living that I think many of us should practice every day.
Yeah. So do you feel like this current season of your life is in some ways your most creative and productive season?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have never been more creative. And there is also something else. It's the artificial intelligence, which I can use as a tool to investigate or examine questions or find information. And that's a wonderful thing to help me. And also, without artificial intelligence, I feel I am much more uh, productive when it comes to ideas and thoughts than I was earlier. And
Mm.
I can now, I have so much thoughts almost all the time, and mostly in the morning when I wake up from sleep. I stay in bed and I take my computer and I write ideas I have, and I dictate to my phone ideas that I later write. So I think because we are living in this age of technological progress, I think we are very lucky and have much more opportunities than otherwise. But I also think it is so important not to let the AI take command of
Yeah.
what we do, because then it will destroy all of it. And it will destroy the ability that we can develop to think ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's a huge question that we must address today.
Absolutely. Now, many people fear starting something new later in life. So, what would you say to someone who feels like it's simply too late for them?
I have made some tentative essays I tried to create a structure to help people, elderly people, and I have a few, just two older women. They are in the same age as I am, and I will help them write their memoir. And I found this such a beautiful idea. A woman in America who has subscribed to my Substack, and it's a workshop where I will help her write her memoir, because that's her project now. And the same in Norway, there is also an elderly woman who will start a similar project, and I will help her. And I think that the most important thing is to see that this is feasible. You can do something, and writing about your own life to investigate who am I, who was I earlier in my life. That's such an interesting and great project. And I have experienced that if I feel I don't remember much of my life, but when I stop with a photograph and go to a situation many years ago, I experience that I remember details. I remember things that I thought I had forgotten. So that's a very good idea for people in my age and younger and older. It's to think of your life, think of what you have experienced, focus on scenes and people in your life, and perhaps say something, write something about them. So one should never be afraid of doing something that can stand after we have left here. We can always think of this as a sort of legacy. My books, of course, I can think of them as a legacy and what I do, but also other people who don't publish books can, of course, leave a legacy, not only like my mother, who never wrote more than a few words on her notebook. And she did not talk much, but my mother lives inside me and my family. Each time I write sometimes a piece of writing about my mother, how she was, and when I published it on social media and the relatives see it, they say, "Oh, that's exactly how she was." So I think even a person like my mother, who never spoke much, who never wrote or published anything, she can be remembered, and she is remembered because of the person she was. So everyone leaves a legacy. That's my idea here. But you can leave more if you take the time to remember. And remember is a sort of a very important word here. Remember what was.
Yeah.
And when you remember, you can examine the thing and try to see, is this real? Was this what happened? Or was it something else that happened? So remember is the starting point for leaving a legacy
Yeah.
for everyone.
And it's never too late. I really believe it's never too
Mhm.
late to
Mhm.
start something new, to try something different. You know,
Absolutely.
I I'm only 65, and I say
Yeah.
only 65 because I have set an intention. I want to live to be at least 100 years old. That's just
Yeah.
that's
You're
just
like me.
one of my
Yeah.
goals. I want to live to get the three digits. But one
Yeah.
of the things that you've mentioned a couple of times, and I know a lot of people struggle with, which is fear. Okay.
Yeah.
So what gave you the courage to continue evolving instead of just settling for comfort?
Oh, that's a big question. What gave me the courage? As I see it, it comes with age. When you are surrounded by the right people, people who don't hold you down. I think that when there are people who hold you down, you need much more courage and the strength to become free of those forces that hold you down. Because if we look at the social media, for instance, what we see there now is so sad, so bad. It's so much people who hold other people down and who do much worse things than that, much worse than holding people down. There are so much bad said in social media. So I I think we are now grown people. We are experienced people. We have wisdom. We can do something. We can do a difference. You must tell yourself, if you are my age or younger or older, you you are an important person. You can do a difference. So begin with the people who you are confident with. And also this rule, uh, in this context, if there are people who are not good to you, who are bad for you, create distance with these people and connect to people who you know are good for you. You can feel it immediately if a person is good or bad for you. And if they try to approach, you can try to have a relation and see if that works or not. I know many people online that read my things and that leave comments that are confident and help me in my evolution. And happily, I don't meet many people online or in social media that attacks me directly. So I'm lucky for that. And I imagine that if I had many attacks because people don't like me, then it would be much more hard to do what I do. But I'm lucky because I don't think I don't provoke people deliberately. I don't want to create noise. But sometimes I write political articles and people are not I do not agree with me, and then they of course say what they mean. But most of what I experience is acceptable. So I think it's very important not to stop saying things or doing things.
Yeah, and so I think there are two ways to live life.
Mm,
We can live life consciously,
mm,
or we can live life unconsciously.
mm,
My assessment is most people live life unconsciously, which basically means they haven't taken the time to really look within their own hearts and minds to see what they believe, how they feel. They just basically on what I'll call the societal roller coaster. They're just kind of going with the flow.
mm.
So, how would you describe living consciously versus living unconsciously?
I can take myself as an example, and I have lived both unconsciously and consciously, and I am conscious of the difference between those two modes of living, because yeah, I think I've always been conscious about I want to be happy in life. I want to take an education. I studied at the university. I studied Camus and became uh, interested in his philosophy, another philosophy. And what we, what, so I think I have been conscious much of my life, or most of my life, with many things, but I have experienced things in my life that has shown me that I have not been conscious enough. Some things have been very bad for me, very sad for me and the people I was with then. So I have experienced ruptures also. But when I think of what I have done most of my life, I think I can stand up for it. One thing I have learned now in my later 8 years is, for instance, my relationship to alcohol, because as long as I have lived since I was 18 or 20, it has it was a habit to drink beer every weekend, not every day, but every weekend. And when I studied at the university and later, that became a part of my lifestyle. And now I am very happy that I stopped some years ago. My wife said to me, "You should stop with those beers. You don't need them." And I said, "Oh, yeah, well." And then I have experienced now, after I stopped, And that is not because I stopped, but because my body is older and don't support more alcohol. When I take one glass of beer, I feel it in a way that is not good in the hours after. And the most important aspect of this for me is that if I drink a beer or two beer or a glass of wine and try to go on working with what I work on, then my mind is completely unconcentrated because of this. Earlier, I saw the use of alcohol as a sort of inspiration. It made ideas flow and feelings came up. But that is only when you start to drink a glass or two, because after that point I become very unconcentrated, and I cannot be as productive as I am when I do not consume alcohol at all. So this is I think, an idea for many people in the world. Know that alcohol is not a good substance.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fanatic against alcohol, and I know I will someday. I will in a month, 2 months. I will have a glass of beer. I will have some wine, but I know that exactly what happens then is that I lose concentration, I lose my creativity, and I lose my productivity when it comes to writing, for instance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. I actually have not had an alcoholic beverage in more than 35 years. I just
Oh,
I just decided one day I didn't need it. I just
yeah.
said, why do I
Uh,
do this? I don't need it. But in talking about conscious living versus unconscious living, so for
mm,
myself, my own experience, for most of my young life, I lived unconsciously. I
mm,
was doing everything society said I was supposed to do to be happy. I had the
yeah,
house, the wife, the 2.5 kids, the
yeah,
success, if you will. But
yeah,
as I look back in retrospect, I was completely unconscious. I was on this societal roller coaster, just following along with
yeah,
what
yeah,
society said I was supposed to do.
yeah,
And it wasn't until after my divorce
mm,
that I became conscious that
yeah, yeah,
I had to stop looking outside of myself and I started looking
mm,
within my own heart and mind to say,
mm,
oh, wait a minute, I have a choice. I can choose.
yeah,
I can choose to think this way. I can choose to believe
yeah,
these things. And so
yeah,
it's a process of becoming conscious, I think, because again, we all get trapped in society.
yeah, yeah,
But I love the idea that we're having now because we're giving people an opportunity
mm,
to think consciously about aging.
mm, mm. That's the big question, the big thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
see the positive aspects of aging. Um,
Mm.
I challenge people to say, I want to make the rest of your life the best of your life. And so
Yes,
we don't want to
I've
look
seen that.
back, we don't want to look backwards. We want to look forward. So I want to
Mm.
I want to ask you this question. Looking back in retrospect, if you could sit
Mm.
down with your 30-year-old self, what would you
Mm.
say? What would you say to him?
I would have said, this is very personal. I would have said, you should have taken more care. You should have stopped and thought about what is the situation now? What are you doing now? What will be the consequences of what you do now? It was a relationship, and uh, it lasted for many years, and it was not good, not for the woman I was with, not for our children, and not for me. So, because of what happened with one or at least one person, I am very sad, and I think this is the first time I recognize I should have said to myself, I wish, or I say to myself, I wish I had not done it. But so far, before this moment, I have always said to myself, I stand for what I did, and I did my best to help to sort out things and to make situation livable for everyone. After all, I stayed many, many years in that relationship. And at one point, it was not possible any longer. I came to a point and we agreed to end. And then afterwards, I understood that she would have preferred it not to end. But then I was gone. And I have never regretted for myself that I went and I met the woman who I have now lived with for 40 years. And I love her, and we are getting old together. And that's the best. This period is the best period of my life. And I think I will not feel guilt because of what I did 40 or 50 years ago, because what I did was not that sort of thing that should give me a feeling of guilt.
So, for our listeners, especially those over 50, who feel there's still more life in them than the world expects, what's one shift they can make today to begin living more intentionally? What's that? What's one little golden nugget you can share that they can use to begin living more consciously?
The key word for me is change or movement. Change and movement are two sides of the same. I think people, I have given myself a promise that I do not hold often enough, luckily, but it is to do something else, do something different today. I will do something different. I know that human beings are very characterized by habits. We do the same thing, and I am very much such a person. I do the same thing, and I love doing the same thing. I love going on the same walks in nature. I love passing time like I am used to. But the best thing you can do is to do something different. Find something each day. And for instance, going out for a walk, moving your body, seeing people, seeing other things than you see usually. That's I think a very important thing to increase life quality. Do something different. Think of yourself as someone who can experience and live something different and then have a better life because you do that. So it's stop the routine. That's the thing.
Got it. So before we wrap up, I'd love to give you an opportunity to share how people can connect with you and maybe explore your books and continue engaging with your work. So what's the best way people can find you?
People can find me on medium.com and on Substack, where I write a lot, and the books I have published on Amazon.com. The Man Who Stopped Aging is available, and I would recommend the audio book for people who want to get to know what William's life was about. It's a 400 pages book that tells his story, and me personally, I love doing it, reading it by listening. So that's a very good way into the book.
So the book
So
is the name of the book is The Man Who Stopped Aging, and they can
yeah,
find it at Amazon and all the different bookstores online, right?
yeah.
Do you have a website or no?
I have a website, yes,
Okay, what's your
and
website address?
pardon.
What's your website address?
It's Øivind Solheim. Just
Okay,
that.
I'll put a link underneath this interview so that people can access your
Yeah,
website. So
I
great.
will send you the link for it. That's
Perfect.
good. Yeah.
Perfect. So now I want to give you an opportunity, just any closing final thoughts that you have.
Yes. I think that writing, writing is one of the most important aspects of human beings. We differ from animals, and we also differ from artificial intelligence in this sense that we have feelings, we have intuitions, we have ideas. We can we can do things that are very special that artificial intelligence cannot do. It's we and the most important thing for me is what I say as a motto in on my accounts online. It's remain human in the age of AI. What this means to me is take care of your capacity to think yourself, to take a standpoint yourself in every situation in life, because AI cannot do that for you.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Well, Ivan, I just want to say thank you, brother, for spending an hour with us, sharing your wisdom. Like yourself, I am excited about aging. I think the rest of my life will be the best of my life, and I think it only gets better if we consciously choose for it to
Yeah.
get better. So, again, thank
Yes,
you again for sharing your insights with us. We really appreciate it. So
thank you very much.
this has been another episode of I'm Not Okay with Gray, and I want to leave you with the simple comment that Ivan made, which says, do something different. That's the key. Do something different. You have to take complete control of your life, and it begins with making a choice. So choose to be the best that you can possibly be. We'll see you next episode. Take care.